Welcome back to all you viewers across the state. Now, more of my exclusive interview with RNC Chair Michael Steele. Okay, Mr. Chairman, back to Harry Reid, and I want to wrap that up by just asking you this. You knew this was going to happen too. Now the Democrats are, what's the difference between Harry Reid saying Negro dialect and light-skinned, and Michael Steele going and using honest Injun, which you got in trouble for? Now I'm not saying whether that's a legitimate analogy or not, well, but everybody lets things slip.
Right? Exactly, and that goes back to childhood and
So be forgiving of Harry Reid if you want people to forgive you.
But that's my point, absolutely. And if that's my only point is, if that's the standard, then let's play by the standard. But don't go changing the standard because of who it affects. Don't tell me on the one hand that an apology is not enough for a Republican, and then on the other hand it is enough for a Democrat. And that's really all I've ever said. And so, the Democrats are the ones setting the tone here. And I think it would be more appropriate to show a little bit more outrage, or take Harry to the woodshed a little bit more than we've seen. It's just like this.
I wonder why they're not. Why do you?
I wonder why they're not. Yeah.
Well, why a guy like you, who's gotten in trouble for intemperate remarks, you would think you'd have sympathy for a guy like Harry Reid, who gets in trouble for intemperate remarks. But you're not. The only reason you don't is because of your different party.
No, that's not why. No, I'm not. No, because his intemperate remark goes to race. My intemperate remark goes to the fact that I'm frustrated with our political condition.
Let me show you. I hate to do this to you, but of course you know that Maryland Democratic Party used to have this 86-page document. The Democratic National Committee says Michael Steele is the gift that keeps on giving. I'll just show people. You mentioned Harry Reid's slavery comment. You had a slavery comment you got in trouble with. You remember that one?
No, what was that?
Democrats were slaveholders. They were the ones who wanted to keep blacks in slavery. So the irony is that here we are today, beholden to our slave masters. That was quoted in the Washington Post, 2001. And then, of course, there's the...
Well, stop. No. Right. You're not going to... Come on. You're not going to get away with that.
Okay, I didn't think you would.
That's a historical fact. All right? That's not a political point. So
maybe Harry Reid was just making a cynical political analysis.
No, come on.
When he was talking about Barack Obama.
I thought you were better than this.
All right. I get that a lot.
I thought you were better than this. I'm not going to engage at this level. All right. The reality
let's go to the general point.
You don't take a historical fact, which was in fact the case. And if you go back and you look at the Democrat leaders who blocked segregation, who blocked civil rights, who promoted segregation, the Republican Party's fight on civil rights, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, Republican sponsored, delivered, Civil Rights Act, and the like, you don't do that. And so that I was making a historical fact. What I'm talking about here, again, is not even a question of, history or anything like that. I'm just saying that it says something about the mindset of the individual if that's how they're going to engage in discourse about someone in this time, particularly given the travels that we've gone through to in civil rights and in black history to get to this point. That's my only thing. I'm not taking it any further than that.
You're given a hard time, though, Mr. Chairman, by people in your own party, because you tend to say things off the cuff, and you say things that you believe. You get in trouble for it.
Sure,
you once used a Nazi analogy. You got in trouble for.
No, I never did. That was not. I never used the word, and I never. No, that was.
They made a big deal of that one.
They did make a big deal of that, and that was erroneously reported. And
did they run a correction?
Well, they don't do that in the Baltimore Sun. No, they don't do that with us in the Baltimore Sun.
Let me ask you a serious question, because you raised the issue of race. Now we've got, you've gotten into some trouble yourself, and now Politico's running this piece as GOP grumbles, race shields Steele, and then they have these people. Yeah, I know you'd laugh about this. Listen to what this. I don't think there's any chance he's going to be dumped before the next election for the obvious reasons that one of the party's most influential strategists.
Is there a name there?
Of course not.
Oh, well, then I'm not. Then stop. I'm not even addressing it. I do not get into this Washington game of addressing unnamed sources, people who don't have the kahunas to come out and speak to people. I just don't.
You proud of the job you've done as chairman?
I'm very proud of it. Do you know what I've done this year?
Tell me.
I won New Jersey and Virginia. We raised.
You did that?
We raised,
yourself?
We raised, we won New Jersey and Virginia. We raised $80 million, 370,000 new donors to the RNC. We've invested in infrastructure across the country for our state parties. We carried $8 million cash on hand into the new year when the budget I inherited had $0 in debt. I have $8 million in no debt. My opponents, the Democrats, guess how much they're carrying over into the new year? With the president, Harry Reid, and Nancy Pelosi in charge. How much money do you think they're carrying over January 1?
13.2 million.
Minus what? $5 million in debt means they have $8 million too.
So you're tied.
So we're at parity here. So we did okay.
We'll be right back in a moment with more of my interview with Michael Steele.